Working in a partnership with the National Park Service, NASA, and Alabama State Parks, DeSoto State Park built a shelter for one of its backcountry campsites. Park employees and volunteers worked together to build the shelter in the fall of 2011. After a suitable location was found, work began on the forms for the concrete footers. The ground was rocky, full of roots, but volunteers persisted until they had marked the supporting footers. On a cool September morning, after hauling in supplies and obtaining water from the nearby seasonal stream, the concrete was mixed and poured into the forms. Probably the hardest part of the job was next. Using an ATV, workers were able to get the materials for construction within 100 yards of the shelter site. From there, it had to be carried in by hand. We've got all the lumber and materials on site. Now we're going to stack the siding and the lumber in the reverse order that we need it. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's go. After the concrete was allowed to cure for a few days, staff returned to the site to remove the wooden forms to reveal the footers. Main construction of the shelter began with the floor. As the floor took shape, construction turned to the stud walls. And finally, the first wall was erected. With the back wall up, the shelter quickly began to take shape. Now that the three walls were in place, attention turned to the construction of the rafters and the roof. While park employees worked on other projects, volunteers took an opportunity to stain and seal the outside walls of the shelter. Rafter and roof construction resumed after a couple of days. The rafters were placed, secured, and then braced before the tin was added. After the tin and the ridge cap were added, the shelter really came together and was nearing completion. Members of Cub Scout Pack 4075 from Fisher, Alabama, hiked to the backcountry campsite where they cleaned up construction debris from the shelter as a service project, and then they learned about the Leave No Trace program. On October the 13th, 2011, all the hard work of so many came together with the completion of the Backcountry Campsite Shelter.